Welcome to the Gavel. I am Terry Kumi, wishing you happy 26 years of uninterrupted democracy. And speaking of democracy, the legislature is the fulcrum of any democracy. Perhaps this drives home the significance of the presidential address before a joint session of the National Assembly on Thursday, the 12th of June, which was Democracy Day. Now, the president seized the opportunity to dismiss allegations of his involvement in the speculations that Nigeria is heading towards a one-party state. And several reactions from lawmakers have trailed the president's address, especially from former Bayelsa State Governor Senator Seriake Dixon, who felt that the people of Rivers State did not get to celebrate the Democracy Day because of the emergency rule in that state. Here's a report on that.
Former lawmakers, traditional leaders, governors, amongst others, filled up the Green Chamber awaiting a historic address by President Bola Tinubu. The event kicks off upon the arrival of the president in company of the Vice President Kashim Shettima and members of cabinet. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, sets the tone with his opening remarks.
The 10th National Assembly, which marks its second anniversary today, June 13, which ought to be tomorrow, but we are marking it today, has played its part with diligence and distinction. A total of 844 bills have been introduced within its first 2 years, an unprecedented figure that underscores the Senate's and the House of Representatives' proactive posture towards tackling pressing national issues.
Our determination is unequivocal to expedite and finalize the constitutional amendment process by December 2025. Our parliamentary diplomacy has flourished with the establishment of 82 friendship groups, fostering legislative ties with global partners. Collaboration with civil society organizations, including UNDP, PLAC, UN Women, CAS, and YAGA Africa, have enhanced our expertise and promoted inclusion.
Be seated.
President Bola Tinubu, in his address, took a moment to straighten the records of following allegations of his interference in other political parties and the possibility of a one-party state.
At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria. Look at my political history. In year 2003, when the then governing party tried to sweep the nation clean of political opposition through plot and manipulation, I was the last progressive governor standing in my region. Call me any name. I'm not here to make you happy politically. And I will still call upon democracy to defend your right to do so. We cannot blame anybody seeking to bail out of a sinking ship, even without a life jacket.
This drew a rousing chant from the audience, but the president wasn't done yet, as he took a pointed swipe at the opposition.
I will not say, try your best to put your house in order. I will not help you to do so either. It is indeed a pleasure to witness you in such a disarray. Our nation is not perfect, but it is strong. Our democracy is not invincible, but it is alive. And this means our dream of a prosperous, happy nation is still within reach and worth fighting for.
In a significant move on Nigeria's 26 years of democratic rule, President Tinubu conferred posthumous honors on prominent Nigerians, including Kudirat Abiola, environmental activist Ken Saro-Wiwa, and 8 other members of the Ogoni 9.
In this light, I announce the conferment of posthumous honors of CAFR on Kudirat Abiola. The heroine of our June 12 struggle. I also confer posthumous honor on Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua, GCFR, and Professor Humphrey Nwosu, CON, Dr. Alex Ibru, CON, Shibola Ige, CFR. I also have the honor to confer on Professor Wole Soyinka, GCON, furthermore, I also confer posthumous national honor on Ken Saro-Wiwa, CON. He was the leader of Ogoni 9.
In his closing remarks, the Speaker of the House moved the motion to make this historic convergence a Democracy Day tradition.
By accepting our invitation, you have made history. I respectfully urge that we now institutionalize this address as an annual event. On behalf of the Senate and the House of Representatives, I thank you for choosing to celebrate this Democracy Day with us in this hallowed chamber.
Meanwhile, the president in his address pledged to do all he can to safeguard the country's democracy. He debunked the allegation of his involvement in what many have called the push towards a one-party state, drawing reactions from members of parliament across party lines.
What I find intriguing is the undemocratic actions of the president and his party and his government with respect to the undemocratic rule in Rivers State. I had expected that today presented the president a golden opportunity, today being Democracy Day in Nigeria, to restore democratic rule in Rivers State.
I don't think there's any one-party state in Nigeria. And he said something. Do you fight somebody who's helping a sinking ship? You want it to sink to ship completely, but not rescue some people out of it.
He's not going to put the house of the opposition, he's not going to put the house in order for them. When you see a president who listens, this is the first time in the history of the country we were having a co-politician as the president.
This is one thing that Nigerians have been talking about on a daily basis. But I'm happy that the president has seized the opportunity of today to make proper clarification on this issue, that he is not advocating, he is not promoting one-party system.
The president also made it clear that the economy and social development of the country must not be compromised, pointing to positive results already trickling in, hinged on the policies of his administration, such as stabilized exchange rate, increase in foreign reserve, the GDP, and more.
Mr. President has said it all. You can see the kind of reforms that are going on. And looking at what it is, even yesterday, I think the World Bank has projected that our growth will remain at 3.6%, and I believe that is to say that our reform is working.
One would have expected that we should have done more, especially in the areas of job creation, stimulating the economy to get in more foreign direct investment. I was reading a report recently which showed that in the last 6 years, we have had less foreign direct investment in Nigeria than we had in the previous 20 years of our democracy. Now, this should be worrying.
Some other lawmakers and invited guests spoke on the aspects of the president's address which caught the attention.
He recognized those who led the critical building blocks of our democracy, those who even paid the supreme price. Second, he also rolled out those of the advantages, the critical
decisions he took to reform this country from the shackles of the past.
It's really, really very astonishing that they can remember all those great names, especially all the Posthumous award. I think it's really very presidential for him, and it shows the magnanimity of the person that we're talking about to truly, really use the presidential instrument as a means of reconciliation.
One remarkable thing he has done is that he has said no, those who were opposed to Humphrey Nwosu being honored and recognized for his contributions for conducting that election. So he's honoring him today with a national honor of Commander of Order of the Niger is the way to build a nation.
To be fair to him, he has touched some areas that has to do with security, even though as the last part of his speech, emphasizing that they are doing everything possible to make sure that each and every inch of Nigerian territory is being reclaimed back from the terrorists and other armed groups.
He was able to use the opportunity to reflect on the achievement in the economy, that the security has improved to the extent that Nigeria can now supply 1.850 million barrels a day, of oil to OPEC, meeting our target for the first time.
He used the medium to encourage the National Assembly to do more because a whole lot is expected of us. Most importantly, hammered on the need to be courageous in most of our legislative activities. And I think that is key.
He's a progressive. So he has the yearnings of the people at heart, having known exactly the need of Nigerians. So in revamping the economy, that is the best bet. Trying to make policies that will revamp the economy of Nigeria.
Now, just before the joint sitting, the president in a letter to the Senate had requested confirmation of appointment of Rivers State electoral commissioners. Meanwhile, the sole administrator of Rivers State, Rear Admiral Ibok Eteibas, retired, says there was lack of cooperation from suspended officials in the state during the preparation of the 2025 budgets. He stated this when he appeared before the House Ad Hoc Committee on Rivers State for the defense of the 2025 budget proposal of Rivers State submitted by President Bola Tinubu. Here's a report on the brief session he had with the committee.
The Rivers State sole administrator arrived at the National Assembly to commence the budget defense process of the state. He was warmly received by members of the Ad Hoc Committee of the House of Representatives, whose responsibility is to oversight the state, which is currently under a state of emergency.
2025 appropriation.
Rear Admiral Ibok Eteibas, retired, proceeded to present details of the proposed 2025 budget, outlining the proposed revenue and expenditure.
A quick review of the official records for the 2024 budget shows that the total revenue of the Rivers State government was 1.04 trillion compared to a target of 800.39 billion naira. This represents 250 billion naira, or 31.6% above the budget target. On the expenditure side, official performance report shows total expenditure was 740.74 billion naira, which was 52.7 billion naira, or 6.7% less than the spending target.
He informed the committee of the challenge faced in drawing up the proposed budget.
The budget framework integrates expenditure information made available before the submission of the budget proposal to ratify the first quarter expenditures within a lawful and transparent structure. This ensures alignment with statutory appropriation protocols while safeguarding the integrity of public finance management.
The meeting turned out to be brief as the committee looks towards further engagement with officials of the state.
We will scrutinize the budget. We would invite you. You may send your relevant officials to represent you to the defense, the proper defense of the budget.
Welcome back to the Gavel. On the breakdown this week, the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center reacts to the President's address to Parliament and the national awards conferred on distinguished Nigerians, including Professor Humphrey Nwosu.
I think for a lot of Nigerians who have advocated democracy, who has seen the development of democracy in this country, it is really very gratifying to see Professor Humphrey Nwosu given national honors. His task as electoral chief in the 1993 elections was tremendous. He did so much. He withstood the pressure of the military. In fact, he defied the military, conducted the elections, and basically, in practical terms, let Nigerians know what the outcome of the election was. So it's taken quite a long time, and I think a lot more honor is due to him. But yes, it is gratifying to see that the country has conferred national honors on Professor Humphrey Nwosu. It was really a masterstroke to have the president go to the National Assembly, choose a date that has its symbolism for Nigeria, address Nigerians on the podium of the National Assembly. In the National Assembly and working with National Assembly on constitutional review, there have been quite a few bills in the last 2-3 sessions of the National Assembly, in the 8th Assembly, in the 9th Assembly, and now even in the 10th Assembly, seeking to make it mandatory for the president to address the National Assembly on the state of the nation. So it was good to see the National Assembly, the chairman of the National Assembly, the Senate President Takpabio, move the motion and see the Speaker of the House of Representatives support it, and see the members of the National Assembly demand that the President does institutionalize or accept the institutionalization of the President addressing the nation on the podium of the National Assembly, giving a state of the nation address. I think that was really very significant. We do see the President addressing the nation on National Day, Independence Day, October 1, sometimes on other symbolic events, but this one I think is really very great. In terms of the contents of the President's speech, we would like to see the speech focused more on the state of the nation, the economic situation of the country, living conditions, what the government is doing to improve development in the country, less of politics, because there was quite a bit of it in the address by the President on June 12. But yes, it is an important development, and it should be something that the President next year and subsequent years, all presidents, come to the National Assembly on June 12, address the nation on the state of their ability to deliver on citizens' expectations. Well, I don't know whether it should be put into law. I think if you do institutionalize it, if the President and the National Assembly agree that this should be the practice, then it would be a huge comment on a President who does not respect this. So not everything needs to be put into the law. Not everything needs to be put into the Constitution. But if the National Assembly has made this motion quite symbolic as it is, and the President accepts that this is the way to go forward, then it is then institutionalized and provides an opportunity for a President to come address the nation through the National Assembly. But like I said, it shouldn't be a political event. It should be a serious, down-to-earth presentation by the President on how he has managed the economy, how he has managed the nation, and how he has promoted democracy.
On Constituency Focus this week, Senator Adams Oshomole, representing Edo North in the Senate, speaks on his constituency projects.
I'm happy you followed my campaign. It was tough then. I said to our people that, as political leaders, we owe our people at least the truth. That we must properly define empowerment. I do not think that buying a motorbike, 1, 2, 3, 4 motorbikes for 2,000 youths to share across wards, that is empowerment. Because the youth is not going to acquire any skill. And a motorbike for me is not an acceptable mode of mass transportation. When I was governor of Edo State, I actually ended up prohibiting the use of motorbike for commercial purpose, because I got security report about the use of motorbike for certain crimes, but much more importantly, because even motor vehicles too can be used and are being used to perpetrate crime. But the deciding factor was the fact that when I visited the hospitals, both UBTH and Central Hospital, about 70% of patients in the hospital, including orthopedic patients, were victims of motorbikes. The essence of my being in the Senate is not to count the number of sewing machines that I give to both widows. In fact, it's not only widows that are poor. The average rural woman is poor because of the nature of our economic system. Your husband manages 1 hectare, and then after the farming season, you use it to produce groundnut, and you sell it in local market. It's just subsistence farming. And so I said to them, I want to deal with those factors that will enable them live their life better. Because our people are not lazy. And they are not asking government to create a long dining table for them to queue in the evening and be spoon-fed. They just want government to deal with the big issues of infrastructure, beginning now with security. Because of the condition of the roads in Edo State, the federal road particularly, the one connecting my constituency to Benin and connecting my constituency to Okene and Lokoja. These are roads that are central to the economic life of our people, because when they go to the farm, they work so hard and they are blessed with good harvest. Those who buy, who come to the 7-day market to buy, they take it to Benin or they bring it to Abuja. When the roads are blocked, this item tends to get perished. And I said, I will work along with the other 2 senators from Edo State, but if I can, I will also persuade our neighboring senators from Delta and from Kogi that all of us should see this road connecting Edo, Delta Edo to the north as our first constituency project. By getting the federal government to complete the road, the dualization of that road has been on for 16 years. I got through about 3 or 4 presidents. Of course, it's easier in terms of quick wins for TV show. The cost of building a kilometer of road, I can buy maybe 3,000 motorbikes and then line them up, bring a channel television. These are my constituency projects. Line up the youths and be giving them as if I'm a donor. And 2 years down the road, half of the motorbikes are dead. The youths are confused. Shomoli Tenyo has said that they're waiting for the next senator. No. We should cautiously take them out of poverty by dealing with those basic things. I also believe that in all my own constituency things, I provide for, if you have a market, you should have a school, you build a school, you should also try and see if you can provide for toilets and school halls and so on. We are, rather than building village town hall for a community, how many times do they hold meeting in a typical village? You can build a hall for the students to do the assembly, and during festivals when the community needs to assemble, they can also use that hall.
Well, that's all the time we have on the Gavel this week. Send feedback to the Gavel at channelstv.com. I'm Terry Kumi. Goodbye.